All right, so today I'm making my testimony. That's funny. Okay, so today I'm making my testimony on coming to Christ. Um, I was a witch for 10 years, and because so we're gonna start from the very beginning. Okay, I'm Latina, I'm Mexican, right? And when you're Latina, you naturally are pretty much like you're going to be Catholic. That's a lot of everybody, Italians are the same way. But so I but so I was Catholic. I was raised Catholic for the first like few years of my life, right? And we had stopped going at some point. And I was still young. I was probably like maybe 6, 7, somewhere around there. I was still a little kid, right? And we had ended up going to a Baptist church some years later when my uncle had passed away, and I was 15 years old. So we started going there, and we were there for a while. And then I don't even really know what happened. We stopped going. So when we stopped going, I was around 16. I did get baptized there. I gave myself, right? I made the decision. And I had given myself to Christ, but I didn't necessarily have a relationship. Like, I think knowing of God and knowing of Jesus is different than having a relationship with them, right? So, it led me down like a very, very dark road, because when we stopped going to church, I stopped having like an outlet of belief or like a sense of community and believing. And so I let me know like where y'all are like tuning into, like in comments, because that would be really cool too. But so I stopped going. I ended up like kind of getting into the occult via like YouTube and stuff, because it kind of just popped up. It was like I was into crystals, and I'm not necessarily saying that crystals are like the gateway to it. I know that a lot of people will argue and say that it is, but for me it wasn't that. It was the things that people were saying about it, the whole love and light, and like all of the things that are in the occult. I don't really want to go too much into the things of the occult, because I don't want to give people ideas who might be coming out but aren't sure if they want to leave. Do you know what I'm saying? But so that all happened, right? I was around 16. Then everything started getting like, I want to say I was like, maybe I was 18 by that point, when I really, really heavily started getting into the occult. I started following witches online. I started getting tarot readings and mediumship readings, psychic readings, all of that stuff, because there were shops like around my area. And like my mom actually was one to be like, this is so cool, and I mean, she didn't know either. She didn't know the real truth behind everything either. Most of us don't, who get into the occult. We don't actually know the truth about it until way later, and it's kind of like too late, right? So my whole life I've actually pretty much struggled with like I've struggled with OCD my entire life, from the point of being 10 years old to like honestly up until recently. I don't really like struggle with it that much anymore. There's still stuff I'm like, ew, but like it's definitely not as bad as what it used to be when I was younger. But so I struggled a lot with things, and I just wanted to find that like sense of belonging and sense of like connection to God, but that's not what I was getting. But I had that sense and feeling that I was, right? When I ended up getting into the occult, I had gotten a reading for my birthday, and it was from a really good tarot reader and psychic, right? And she connected with my grandma. My grandma, she passed away when I was 15. She's one of the closest family members of mine. Like, I'm very, very, very close to my mom's side, and so that was my mom's mom that passed. And so that was just something that really wreaked havoc on me for like a long time, and I just always wanted to talk to her. I had uncles pass away too that I didn't necessarily have a relationship with on my dad's side, but that I knew they were really cool because, you know, they're your family. You just never really had a relationship with them based off of like your age of being younger. You know what I mean? So when I had gone to that psychic, that person connected with my uncle, with my grandma, with, you know, deceased pets and stuff like that, supposedly. Finding out the truth later, we're gonna get to that in a minute. It might take more than a minute. But so all of that happened. I wanted to do it for myself because getting tarot readings and paying for them, it's expensive. It gets expensive when you know, you want to know about this person or this thing or, you know, this job if you get it, or if you know, do, it's just, it's all, it's everything in life that you could possibly like want to know. It's all of those things, right? You can see into the future with these cards. So for a long time, I was studying that. I actually went into classes for it based off of somebody that I had met on vacation at a spirit shop. And she actually was like, you should take my class. Like, I teach, you know, how to see behind closed doors, talk with loved ones, and channel all of these things. I never actually finished that class, by the way, which is kind of ironic now that I think about it, but not ironic, because we all know nothing is coincidental, nothing just happens by fluke, right? So I never ended up finishing that, but I did end up meeting a lot of people like through the occult that were interested in it, because as you know, I'm 25, you don't know that, but as you know, the younger generation doesn't want to conform to anything that's godly, and the reason why is because nobody wants to be told that they're wrong. Everybody has such a huge ego that we can't be told that we're wrong about anything, because then, you know, you look like a fool or whatever. It's stupid, honestly. But so I had met a lot of people through that. I became like best friends with somebody that you know, I pray that she comes to the same conclusion that I did, but that led me down a very, very dark road. I started doing drugs, and I wasn't just smoking weed anymore. I was, you know, I was doing cocaine. I was doing, you know, psychedelics. I was tripping, and I like didn't care. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. And you know, you get this like idea that you can like do anything in the occult, like, and nothing is wrong because there's no such thing as sin, right? I had a lot of things that had happened, like just verbal abuse, sexual abuse, just a lot of things that had happened because of the type of like energies and stuff that I was playing with. I was literally working for Satan. I was literally on the devil's side, and I had no idea that I was. I'm someone who, even when I was in the occult, I never even wanted to put scary movies on. Like, I never liked them. I don't like the feeling of being scared, because I kind of think it's weird when people enjoy that feeling. I think it's like bizarre. But you know, to each their own. But honestly, they're demonic. That's what it comes down to. But tarot and all of that, I started getting good at it, right? I never actually took off with like a business or anything, but I would do readings for friends, and I enjoyed doing them, and it was fun. I say fun with like a sarcastic undertone, because it's really like when you sit and realize all of the things that come along with inviting all of those spirits into your life, and saying, you know, it doesn't matter how you call out to them. If you say, oh, in love and light only, like, no, it doesn't matter. They don't care. Like, demons do not care what you say, because they are like, Satan is the absolute best liar, right? So his minions therefore like carry the same exact the same. Like, we're gonna lie to you, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna make up some story and pretty much tell you like your life is golden, but it's really not. And you're gonna end up like listening to these things that are told to you, and then you go forth with doing them, and like your life ends up just not coming out the way that it said, not going by, you know, anything that you've seen in tarot, right? Because honestly, if that were true, like, I would have had like 8,000 boyfriends in my lifetime, and I can't say I've had very many, and I honestly don't care that I didn't, because at this point I realized that God wouldn't have sent anybody of his people to me, because anything, like, if the most minor thing happened, I would just end up casting a spell on them anyway. So it was like, why would he put his own people like in my foresights and put them at risk of being spell casted on? Like, no. So I was doing spell work, I was doing blood magic, I was doing sex magic, I was doing just like bodily fluid magic, like anything pretty much that I, you know, absorbed off the internet of witches. I didn't end up really going deep into occult until I had found out that it was in my family. I've had people in my ancestry that have done witchcraft, that had done, you know, tarot readings and all of that good stuff. And so I naturally was just like, oh, well, I'm just supposed to like follow that suit, because if other people in my family have done it, then like it's probably fine if I do it too, right? No. So I ended up diving way deeper into that. I started, you know, communicating with demons that were just masquerading as my loved ones. It was really weird because I've heard other stories, and I'll just sit there and be like, yes, that's exactly what happened to me. And it's just wild because, you know, I went from the boho, cute, like little hippie, you know, wearing my hair like natural and everything, like not really wearing makeup a lot. You know, the cute, like, I still enjoy the boho style. I think it's cute, but I think we need to be very careful because a lot of the things of the boho style are roped into Hinduism, and that's just a whole mess in itself of just a whole other demonic energies and, you know, these deities and idols that we idolize, and they are not what you think. If you actually do a deep research, a lot of them are just demons. Everything is honestly demonic. If you are Christian and you believe in Christ, everything else that isn't God, that is not Jesus, is Satan. That is fact. And the reason it's fact is because the devil does not care what you believe in, what you think about, who you are calling God. He doesn't care. He's going to be those things. If you don't go to Jesus and you're not going to God, it is entirely demonic. It is entirely satanic. And a lot of us don't realize that. Now, I had started falling into a very deep depression, a very deep, like, I had no purpose. I didn't care if I was alive. I didn't care if I died. I had gotten into 2 car accidents, and the second one, I mean, I totaled both of those vehicles. The first one, it was on ice, and it was speeding a little bit. I was trying to get to work, and I worked at White Castle. Like, really, they wouldn't have cared if I was, like, 15 minutes late because the weather sucked. Like, they wouldn't have cared at all. And still, I was flying, totaled that van, rolled it into a ditch, spun out on a main highway, and, like, guys literally pulled me out of the car. Like, it was a whole mess. But so thankfully, I was still able to drive because my mom had another car, and she was like, you can drive this, and like, I have confidence that you'll be safe because, you know, Toyotas are reliable cars. Okay, we'll say that. In fact, this car almost racked up 400,000 miles on it, and man, I was so sad I didn't get to see that, honestly, because I totaled it before that. Now, that whole car accident, because of the things I was doing, the people I was hanging around with, you know, just a bunch of stuff, right? I literally I wished for the longest time that I died in that car accident. I really, really did. I mean, I had birthdays where I literally was like blowing out candles and like wishing I was dead because of literally the demons that I had became attached to and the demons that attached to me. But when you're in the occult, you don't see those things as demons. You just see them as like mental health issues and blah, blah, blah. And which that's a whole, I'll probably make a whole other video on that, to be honest. But so all of that happened. It was horrible. I did end up getting a car, which I'm not gonna lie, I do want my car, okay? But that's a whole other thing. I manifested this vehicle, right? It took me like a year. I really worked, or no, it didn't actually take me a year. It took me like 3-4 months. And that whole entire time, I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. Like, I was just saving my money. So it was like every single little thing that would happen, it was like a major catastrophe. Because I was so like sucked into feeling so sorry for myself and playing the victim and just being, you know, upset with literally everything. And that was horrible. That was so bad. I got more into doing cocaine then. Too, when I was like driving around in like my mom's car before I had crashed, right? I got into the nightlife. I mean, I literally would look forward to the weekends just so I could go do drugs with my friends because I don't talk to any of them anymore. In fact, the very last one that was supposedly my best friend, she deleted me on all social media because of that. Well, she deleted me on the main, which is Facebook. We all know it's the main one, right? And I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna like allow you to like hate watch me because I know she's like that. She's someone who, if she doesn't like someone, like she can't stand Taylor Swift. I can't either, but I don't sit there and watch her content and just to be mad, right? Where she literally will watch content and just be mad. And I'm like, girl, like why? Like, why even give that person a view if you really don't like them? But so I had a feeling that that's what was going to happen. And her and I actually called each other like our sister witch because we would do tarot together. We would like read together and spell work and everything. It was crazy. And, you know, I pray that she comes to the same conclusion. I pray that like, honestly, everybody who is in the occult, I pray that all of you, every single one of you comes to Jesus before it is too late. Now we're gonna go back to the whole like dwelling in self-pity and everything. I just had a very, very hard time. Every single thing, every relationship I had, it just had become like bitter. Or like it wasn't even the relationship itself, it was me. I was so bitter towards everyone. Every single thing, if there was an issue, I was just automatically like, you know, saying all of the swear words about them and stuff. And like, I'm not going to say I'm perfect and that I don't like swear from time to time. You know, we are sinners. Naturally, we are sinners. And honestly, we're going to try our best not to be, but you know, we're born into it. That's literally in the Bible. That's what it says. So, you know, it was horrible. My mom actually, like, she really started getting worried. I'm very close to my mom. My mom and I are like best friends, right? And she actually really started getting worried about everything. She was like, you're just so hateful about like everything. And then I would just be like, well, can you blame me? This and this and that. And like, there was always an excuse, right? There was always an excuse for me to just be rude and just everything. Now let's go into Zodiac and stuff like that too. All of those are just that's just a whole thing in itself. I had made a Twitter, and I still actually have this Twitter, but I have like changed a lot of it and blocked a lot of people on it because I had gone down the path of, you know, SW, NSFW. Y'all can figure out what that is. I don't want to like sit and like say all of the words and then this not be reached out to people who need to see it, because YouTube, you know how YouTube is. But so that wasn't really like anything that made revenue for me. I actually gave up on it because I was so uncomfortable with doing it. But the way that it brought certain people's attention, And because I was in such a self-loathing place and a place of hurt, especially by a lot of the men in my life too, I, I didn't care what it was. I just, like, I wanted the, like, gratification and, like, the, like, oh, you like me, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, literally nobody likes you like that. Like, nobody who gives you attention in that way actually genuinely likes you as a person. They don't care about you. Like, and I'm not saying this to be, like, mean, but, honestly, when I was 17, I wish somebody would have been like, girl, they don't care about you. Like, quit trying to make it work because they're not a good person. Why would you even want that person in your life, right? Mind you, I wasn't 17 when I was doing the NSFW stuff. I'm just saying, like, we all know, like, a 17-year-old girl that was in our, like, high school classes and stuff that probably needed to be told that, right? So all of that happened, and it was like pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But I got away from all of that stuff. I deleted, blocked, like, goodbye, not dealing with it anymore. Like, that's not part of my identity. I don't even claim, like, any of that, because of the operation that was going on over it was literally just a demon making me feel like crap. So, I stopped doing that. I blocked all of those people. I genuinely feel so much better now that I don't talk to anybody in that manner at all, because, I mean, there's nothing positive that comes out of it. It's literally just like committing sin after sin after sin, and then just wondering why your life doesn't feel any better. It's like, what do you expect? Like, do you really think it's gonna get better because you're doing all these things? Because it's not. It'll make your demons feel better, but then after that, you still feel like crap. You're still depressed. You're still upset. I had a lot of suicidal ideation for a long time. There was a lot of, like, sexual abuse that had come up from when I was very, 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 very young. And it was stuff that I completely blocked out, that I still try my best, honestly, to make sure that it's, like, not something in my consistent thoughts, which, that's where Jesus comes in, y'all. That's where Jesus comes in. But so there was a long period of time where I was doing spell work for, any little thing, manifesting any sort of way I possibly, like, adhered to that I had heard over the internet. It's just been crazy, right? I came to a point of really, really just not even knowing, like, who I was. Like, every single avenue. Like, I am an artist. That is a gift that I was given when I was very young. And thank God, because it's such a great outlet if you use it in the right way. But so, I had so many things that were satanic imagery and stuff, like, around me. I had a huge mandala on this wall for the longest time, for most of the time that I was actually in the occult. I don't really do drugs anymore. Like, I'm not gonna act like I'm perfect, but I don't do cocaine anymore. I don't trip. I don't even vape anymore because of how bad it was making my lungs. And listen, y'all, I was one of those people who was like, it can't get me, I'm made of steel, right? And then I had a wheeze from December up until, I think about, like, a month or two ago. I had a wheeze that was, like, really, really bad. Like, it was so bad. And I actually started getting kind of scared, because I'm like, I really don't want to not be able to speak or have, like, a trach or something. And just, it got too scary for me. So I was like, deuces on that. We're going to just, yeah, deuces your cabooses. So I quit doing those things, and I came to this conclusion. It's kind of funny how I came to this conclusion, but I started watching ASMR of, like, the Bible readings, which I still enjoy to this day, which I love. And those really just, I started with the Book of John, because that, from even when I was going to Baptist church, that was my favorite book in the Bible, because of John 3:16, which also happens to be my birthday. So I always thought that was kind of, like, cool, right? But so I started with that, and then when I got, you know, to the crucifixion, I just like bawled my eyes out, because it kind of just like slapped me in the face. Like, you seriously have been doing all of these things, and this man was sent to this earth, did miracles, never committed any sins. This is where I'm gonna start crying, because it's emotional. He never committed any sins, and he knew that his mission was to come here and to literally be crucified and to take away the sins from the world. And that when we die, if we believe in him, that we go to heaven. And that's seriously like how good our God is, because he loves us so much that he sent his only son for us, so that we literally could live eternally with them. And that was such a like slap in the face, really. And so I started getting recommended more Christian media on YouTube, which was really nice, because I was so used to just seeing, you know, tarot reader after tarot reader. And there became a point too that I was like, literally none of this is true. Like, I don't know how many times I've done readings and nothing happens. Like, nothing that they said happened. And that's the thing about tarot, is it's just demons playing on your weakest parts of you, right? We all have fears. We all have, you know, things in us, like, that makes us not want to do something. But we also don't realize that, like, fear is literally a demon. Fear is a demon. The whole, oh, I'm talking to your, you know, your past loved ones, that's literally just them connecting with a demon who knows how to play on your weaknesses, who knows how to play. Like, they're not all-knowing, but they know your demons, and they communicate, and they don't care if it's gonna hurt you, because that's literally all they want. That's the only thing that they feed off of, is you being hurt, or you just. And it's honestly disgusting, because when we go to these readers and we go to these people who don't know that they're literally working with Satan, we go to them to seek some sort of refuge. We come to them so we can emotionally feel better. The whole love and light movement is to love yourself as you are. And I think that's such a horrible thing to teach and to bring to people, because that's saying that you've never done any wrong in your life, and it's everything else around you. And if you just, you know, put out good vibes and good this and good that, then, you know, everything will be okay. Like, no, that's really not how it works. I mean, it's not. You end up becoming a very, very bitter person, because you start attaching yourself to demons that just have no cares for who you are, how you are, why you're hurting. They're just like, good, I'm glad you're hurting. Keep hurting, because otherwise I don't have a host. And that's so messed up. And I mean, after my papa passed, which that was my grandma, who passed in 2015, my dog's in front of me. He's just so cute. But anyways, when my papa passed away, that hurt me, like, on a level I don't even know how to comprehend or articulate. It hurts so bad. He's like one of my favorite people that I've ever met. One of the only men that in my life physically that I was like, you know, that is a man of God. Like, he never ever, like, I'm not saying he wasn't someone who sinned, but he wasn't someone who wanted to do wrong by people. He never ever wanted to wrong someone, even if they were mean to him or rude to him. You know, he just like played it off and was like, okay, whatever, you know, and continued with his self. And I think too, it was just the relationship that him and my grandma had, and the relationship that he had with my mom, that really just, and what I had with him as well. And it hurts so bad, because every person to this day, you ask them about him, and you know, there's never ever a bad thing to say about him. And it's just that hurt really bad. So I started, you know, that was another thing that was just feeding, was just the mediumship part of the occult, right? It was just a familiar demon that was coming to me and like making me feel better, right? But still, I'm crying, bawling my eyes out like every other day pretty much, like about, you know, the passing of him. Mind you, my papa's been passed now for 2 years this year in December. And I was still feeling like absolutely wrecked. Like I couldn't even talk about him like this and like not cry. And I just had like a lot of things just feeding on me, which was that demon of like, oh, hey, we're him. Like, no, you're not. That's why I still feel like crap. That's why I'm still crying. That's why I'm still upset, you know? And now that I have the understanding of like, he's in heaven, he's with Jesus, and that so is my grandma and all of my other past family members as well, because my uncle, which is my papa's son, he ended up passing not even 2 months before my papa, so that like really it was just a whole entire thing. It really like shook the whole family, honestly. But yeah, so all of that, it was just a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. Now let me connect it back to like where I was at with Christian media and being suggested more Christian media, right? I like shorts sometimes, you know, sometimes I don't always want to sit and watch a super long video, you know, like the one I'm making. But so I had seen a short for the show The Chosen, and it was actually just the behind the scenes, and it was behind the scenes of I think it's the 3rd season. Is it the 3rd season? Yeah, 3rd or 4th. I don't want to spoil like what it is. Spoiler, it's part of the Bible. That's really, really cool, right? And once I seen it with like the green screen and everything behind it, I'm like, okay, I gotta watch this show. I gotta find it. So we have like every single streaming service there is, like besides a couple, right? And so I found it. It's on everything, by the way. It has its own app, so you can watch everything and not have to hunt for it. Just watch it all on the app, and then plus you're giving the app like, I love it. So anyways, I started watching that show, and this is where it sounds funny, but there was a part of it that just had me so like, wait a minute. That person was just like harboring all these demons, and that's why they were doing the things they were doing to themselves and to other people. And it hit me like, I don't even know. It hit so hard. And one night I woke up and it was literally 12:30 in the morning. I woke up, I started doing research on everything that I did. I started looking up verses in the Bible. Like, you know, you look up things on Google and then you go back to your Bible and you find that passage and then you read about it, right? Well, you know, there was a word that just did not sit well with me as the title that I was given by God because of the things that I was doing. And this word is abomination. I was like, that like honestly was, I think, the first time that I ever had the fear of God struck into me. And I just started like reading just everything. And then, you know, you go to the back of your Bible too, and they have where it's referenced, like where the words are referenced, right? And how many times they use them. And so that was just a word. I started reading all of the passages where it had been used. And, you know, I realized that I had related way too much to the people who were called abominations by God. And I was struck with just feeling so horrible about it. And it was horrible. And so I just started repenting. And I was literally just praying in my bed, which I was just crying. Oh, really, Dawn? Really? Stop. Stop it right now. Go somewhere. We're going to wait till he stops and then we'll keep going. Maybe he stopped already. I don't know. But so anyway, see, now I can like have better lighting because The dog was laying across the whole bed. Anyways, so I started just repenting, and I just felt just everything come out of me. I was crying. I was just like pleading to Jesus that like I believe in him. I never stopped believing in Jesus, by the way. I never stopped believing in him. The whole time I was in the occult, my views on him had changed, and that was the worst thing ever. But I just started just repenting everything. I actually kind of went through like a self-deliverance, because of all of that happened. And ever since then, just my entire life has been so different. And that literally happened July 19th of this year. It was just such a life-changing thing. Like, ever since then, just I haven't been depressed. I haven't been anxious. I haven't been, like, I haven't been bombarded with, like, PTSD. I haven't had any of those things. So I actually started going to a church called V1 Church. If y'all don't know about it, I definitely suggest you look it up on YouTube. And Mike Signorelli, Pastor Mike, he is something else. Like, he will, like, say stuff that you don't even realize. Like, it's like, because God delivers messages to pastors and then they deliver the message to us, right? Man, every single thing that man says, it just hits home so well. Like, last Sunday, when I was in church with my mom and I literally were, like, bawling our eyes out the whole time. This dog, you better stop it right now. You don't need nothing. I know you don't. It's just being extra and pouty on the ground. So, anyways, I ended up getting baptized last Sunday. And it just, it was so emotional. Like, I cried before, I cried after. That whole entire service, it just was so, it was literally every conversation my mom and I had on the way to church. That is what was talked about. And it was insane. Like, I never, and it's crazy because Pastor Mike said, I never want to get used to this feeling of, like, just being almost like overwhelmed with emotions, and, like, just never be used to the fact that all of these things are real. Like, Jesus is so real and God is so real, and it's just, I never want to get used to seeing the miracles that they perform. I just never do. And so yeah, that's my testimony. I actually signed up for their college. I want to go into ministry, which I fully intend on finishing and graduating. And I just think it just makes so much sense now as to why, like, no other avenue, like, worked out, because I was putting I before everything. I was putting the me first, and I shouldn't have been doing that. In fact, none of us should do that, and that's why, that's why certain things work out and other things don't. And we have to realize that God places us in certain areas so that way we can learn what's good for us and what's not good for us. And, the jobs that I had that didn't end up working out, it was like, I ended up working at a bar and they fired me for, like, literally no reason. And now that I think about it, I'm like, well, I've never been someone to drink. And there were a couple times, like, a couple people in there got a little too, like, in my business. And I'm like, you need to, like, back up, because I don't want this, and I didn't ask for it. But yeah, and, like, especially being a woman, like, you never want to, like, offend somebody and then them do something worse to you. So in a way, I was kind of like, you know what, good, I don't need this job anyway, because these people, I don't need to be around people like that. It was the same people every single day that came in, that would end up closing the bar. They're struggling with their demons, and they're thinking they're seeking some refuge, and just walking into traps here and there and everywhere, right? But yeah, so that's my testimony. That's how I got out of the occult. Jesus saves, literally. And after that, I took down every single thing. Like, there's a couple things I still need to burn, which also, we can go into that in a different video on how the devil literally steals every single thing that God has done and just counterfeits it. And, you know, the whole burn offerings when it comes to the occult, it's just not okay. You know, that was literally taken from the fact that God literally told everybody that was doing occult things, he told them to take them and burn them publicly. And, you know, you're literally renouncing your faith in all of those things publicly and then going to Christ. And it's just a whole experience that, if y'all are on the fence, you're on the devil's side, and you need to just read and research the things that you're doing. And that's the thing too, is that when you have an occult overlay pretty much on your Google researching, like, you're never gonna find these things to be demonic. You're not. And that's what's so bad, is that you don't find them demonic until after all of these things. Like, I literally had my name as Lilith for a while on Twitter. I had the name Ishtar for a while, and it just, I'm just surprised I'm even alive, honestly. And the whole reason that I am alive is because God was like, no, I have other plans for you, but, you know, you don't want to listen to me. So, wallow, because that's what's going to happen when you play with the devil. Like, honestly. But yeah, so I hope this was at least informative, or at least, you know, just, I don't know, I hope if you walk away with anything from this video, it's just that Jesus is truly king. Jesus truly came here because of how much he knew everything was going to happen the way it did, and he still went forward with it. That's why even as he was being crucified and people were, you know, spitting on him and just absolutely just torturing him, and he said, forgive them, God, for they do not know what they are doing. And that is just, whew, that's just so insane, because he even forgave them because he knew it wasn't those people doing those things to him, but it was the demons inside of them doing these things. That's why he told Peter, when he said, Satan, get behind me, he wasn't talking to Peter. He was saying, Satan, come out and get behind me, because you are not, you have no authority. And, you know, just, whew, yeah, but that's my testimony. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Leave a like, subscribe. I plan on making more future content, talking about Jesus, talking about God, exposing Satan, exposing the occult. And I'm never going to stop talking about this, because it saved my life. Jesus saved my life, not the occult. The occult literally just made me keep going deeper and deeper into my depression, into my every single toxicity that I had in my life. It made me go deeper and deeper into it, to the point of suicidal ideation. And literally the only thing that could have saved me at that point was Jesus. So that felt a lot, that was very emotional for me. But yeah, so I'm being like as raw as possible with y'all, okay? Have a great day. I love you. Be blessed. Love Jesus. And yeah, bye.